I was waiting for this call and even didn't open a bottle of wine yet.
So you're saying you need a bottle of wine.
I have it with me here, but I didn't want to drink it before the call.
So are you going to wait for the right moment and you'll take it out?
No, 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 no. Like, come on. Let's keep it professional.
Misha, you wanted to call this conversation 2020 year in review. I think something similar, but I'm thinking of the state of innovation through COVID. So regardless of which title we go with,
Okay.
they both work. But I wanted to start by asking you actually an exact question that I asked you on a few podcasts ago when you and I were sitting down together in downtown Dubai.
Oh, I'm getting scared.
I asked you the question, buddy. I said, if you had a megaphone, what would be your advice to enterprises? We were talking about enterprise technology, enterprise innovation, and your answer about the most important advice with your megaphone. You said, start dreaming. Get out of the circle where you just operate with what you have and dream. Dream what could be changed. Now, 6 months in the future, we've had some more experiences. Things have changed with COVID. We're still in COVID. What's your reaction to reliving that moment with me? Have companies listened?
Uh, some do, some don't. Um, some pretended that they listened. This is kind of my current experience. We do have examples where people like companies. Let's go talk about companies. Said, yeah, okay, let's do really crazy things. Let's go with it and do it. Some, why I say pretended, declared that yes, but then like amount of uh, time to deal or even initiate something or anything like processes, nothing changed. Okay, and still struggling, and some that decided to do nothing. We do see, unfortunately, like quite a big degradation. Okay, so
Yeah.
this is kind of my takeaway. 6 months after, I don't want to say I was right, but I was right.
Looking back on 2020 and how enterprises reacted to this craziness in the world, is it what you expected? Like, I'm curious, what has surprised you when you're looking at the behavior of big companies through the chaos? Does something come to mind? Was it as you expected, or what was the big surprise?
I would say it was like I'm kind of old dinosaur, so I expect the crazy shit, but it still makes me kind of asking myself, what the fuck? Okay, um, I'll give you a really simple example. Enterprise, right? COVID. Majority of people started to work remotely. Didn't come to offices. Didn't do any work in the office. Started to work remotely. Started to work do everything from homes. Like 2 years ago, when I was saying like most of the time I work remotely, actually in my mind I was talking about like thinking work remotely from this Starbucks or another Starbucks or from some park or
Yeah.
whatever, right? Now we work remotely from home, right? And so, like now is we gonna get to the level that on a big scale we work remotely, right? And it's really killing to hear sometimes responses from those enterprises where everything already remotely or 95% or 90% or 80% of their operation shifted to remote work. suddenly when you ask for something, they putting on the table some stupid policy or regulation that they built 20 years ago, and they're not willing to change it.
Yeah.
And this policy actually prevents for freaking any innovation for them. Thing that can be done in like 3 days, 1 week, takes 5 months. And what really kills me, that executives don't even care. So I maybe I'm too bold, okay? Maybe they're asking themselves like what's going on. Maybe they're coming with those questions to their teams. And of course, it comes to the surface like, oh, we cannot do this because of this policy or because of this regulation. Oh, yeah, but why not to change it?
Yeah.
Why
Policy
not to
needs
think
to,
how to overcome it?
yeah, it's like policy needs to be agile, right? We're talking about being agile, being resilient, being adaptive. It needs to happen at the policy level too, right? With these big, big giants out there.
It's almost everywhere, but we do see this a lot in enterprises, big
Yeah.
enterprises. And the reason we see this in those big enterprises, because they do have, they're much more mature from from operation perspective, policy perspective, processes perspective. They're really much mature than any startups or any small and medium business companies. Of course, I don't want to kind of paint them all in black. They know what they do, and they do most times like right things. At least I want to believe in that. But still, like it's maybe when COVID will hit wave number 5 and world will really collapse in much more ways. And I do see that the collapse, it didn't start yet.
Mm.
Okay, so I'll give you one example. One of the main aircraft companies in the United States. It took them about 3 years to realize that hackers were sitting and monitoring and doing whatever they wanted in their network. 3 years. Okay. During the COVID, it's statistically already proven that the cybersecurity threat increased by 400%.
400.
400%. Even more now probably even more. Like I didn't see the latest statistics. But what it means that professional hackers guaranteed already sitting inside some networks, some enterprises, and preparing their ticking bomb. So we
Yeah.
will see a lot of interesting stuff in the future. Really, a lot. We already see it. We already see it big time, because almost nobody was prepared for 100% remote work.
Yeah.
People weren't equipped with laptops, corporate laptops. Like 80% of the employees not getting corporate laptops.
Right.
So now when they work remote, how do they work?
Mm-hmm.
In most cases from their personal computers, right? And the topic of bring your own device to enterprise, it's already like in the air for many years. Actually in the air many years.
Yeah. You're talking
But
to these companies all the time. So you're constantly feeling the difference with some of these companies, right? Are you trying to talk differently to different types of companies? Like, are you aware? Can you spot with a company that doesn't want to change their policy and is really scared about disruptive innovation? And can you spot the company that likes to innovate and is more comfortable with it? And do you treat these companies differently? Because every day you're talking to multiple companies like this. Every week I'm talking to multiple companies like this. How do you treat the differences when you have some companies that want to stand by their 20-year policy and some companies want to talk art of possibility? Are you trying to identify which basket to put them inside, or how do you deal with a world with such different mindsets?
Um, I'm actually coming to really interesting realization after my 30 years work experience. I think disruptive, just the word, disruptive technology, disruptive innovations shouldn't be in the same sentence with the word enterprise organization.
I hear you.
Because in reality, it's not happening. It's all bullshit. Okay, it's BS. There is no disruptive technology get adopted by any big enterprises in the world. Technology get adopted there when it has at least 5 years experience, like on the market, when it's already validated, when it's already proved, when there's a huge install base, where is like a huge knowledge base. This is the time when enterprises considering to start adopting a new technology. Disruptive technology and like cutting edge technology, all those buzzwords really get adopted by small businesses, by medium-sized businesses. I cannot see, I cannot envision. And one day I was sitting and really stretching my head and try to remember any company of size 5 or 10,000 people and up that I personally was involved with them over the last 30 years. What kind of technology they were adopting and when? What was the life cycle of this technology, like from the vendor perspective, when it get adopted by enterprises? So who is doing really good job on that? Hardware vendors.
Okay.
So HP servers, IBM servers, like new servers get adopted almost immediately. Like almost immediately. But it's commodity. It's just more powerful server.
It's not disruptive. Yeah.
It's just, yeah, it's wow, amazing new server. More cores, more CPU, more storage, faster. That's it.
Yeah.
Laptops, yeah, better battery, better screen. That's it.
Yeah.
More memory, more storage. It's not disruptive technology, right? When we're talking about things like, I don't know, like access from the, like working from your own device, like bring your own device.
Yeah.
This is kind of disruptive, but not. But still, it's a little bit shift in the mindset of people that, oh, okay, well, now we need to expand the coverage of devices that we need to support. Okay, so it's more challenging rather than challenging to the business to start working with this, rather than, oh, it's a new disruptive technology.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
somehow through this, we see some new disruptive technology coming, but it's not like a huge things.
So if you're selling something to a company with more than 5,000 employees, should you even be using the word disruptive when you're giving your pitch, when you're saying how something should be adopted? Because I know you were giving me some advice recently as we were talking to some of our own large enterprise clients, crafting some messages, re-engagements, right? Things are changing quickly, boom, boom. And you were saying, be easy on the language of disruptive, be easy on the language of game changer, super innovative, because it seems like some of these words actually scare these companies as opposed to seem like an attractive feature. What's your thought about that? Should you, what language should you use? Is it often about incremental innovation in these 5,000 employees and up enterprises? Should things be positioned as, how do we get something 20% better as opposed to 1,000% better? Or how does the message need to shift?
I don't know how it needs to be shifted. From my perspective, trying to remove those catchy words from my vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
I really trying to not to use them when I talk to executives, when I talk about something new, right? I'll give you one really interesting example. I'm talking right now to one, I would call it startup, okay? Because they in a mode of startup.
Mm-hmm.
They do have they want the product. Company already exists for some period of time, working, profitable, all good, right? But they want to scale out and they want to create a product that's going to be one of the mainstreams of the business. So it's really startup, right? And the executives and the owners of this company, they coming from like enterprise background, and they know their stuff, they know their domain, they work like for a long time in this, so they have a lot of experience, they have a lot of knowledge. So on one of the sessions when we discussed the product that should be created that do not exist on the market yet, competitors didn't build it yet because there's technically almost no competitors,
Right.
so we're talking about new product that should be created. And one of the questions that was asked, okay, what you guys propose or the idea that you have in mind how it should be done, how mature is this idea? When it was implemented before, what the confidence we need to assign to this? And my response was like, guys, you're asking to build something new that do not exist yet. So it's going to be the new product.
Right.
And you're afraid of the phrase of innovation.
A startup too.
And it's a startup. So I think that those words, they get so abused that they're now bringing more negativity to the conversation rather than benefit. My personal opinion. When people hear like the pitch, when they listen the pitch, oh, our product or our solution is the most innovative, blah, 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 blah. Actually, executives hear blah, 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 blah. Their brain already filters those words. They don't even listen to this. It's my observation, okay?
Yeah, no doubt. I think that empathy helps, because it can depend what industry you're talking to, because some industries do not get, maybe, let's hypothetically say some industries don't get pitched new technology projects every day. Some of these industries might hear new innovation and they might think, oh, this is new. Whereas if you pitch a company, if you pitch if you're pitching a venture capital investor in Silicon Valley, United States, that you're building a new artificial intelligence, machine learning product, they're probably just going to filter this into their spam box, because they probably get pitched this every day 1,000 times. And unless you get introduced from another portfolio company, there's no chance. But I think most of these companies, most large enterprises, they get pitched new innovation, disruptive technologies every single day. So just to cut through the noise, it's like you need to say something different. You need to say something that makes you stand out, right? Because they get tired of the brainwashing. They get tired of hearing about disruptive technologies. So maybe you need to constantly be reinventing the vocabulary. Maybe what's best today will not be best in 5 years. I don't know. It's always good to
I don't
stand
know
out.
either. We need to practice and experiment for sure. Okay,
Absolutely.
so this is how we go through.
Absolutely.
You know the story when once we just did a change of one word on the proposal and it get approved. Literally, search and replace one word. We changed the word assessment to the health check. That's it.
Right.
and it get approved. So we constantly need to experiment. So it's okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, Going back to some of the themes that we've seen, you already made mention about cybersecurity. So stuff that's been really happening through 2020. This is the 2020 year in review. Heck, we're partway through 2021. Things are flying. So what you already mentioned that cyber attacks have increased 400%. You can correct me if that number's wrong, but they're going up. I don't think many of us are surprised to hear this, yet it seems like a lot of enterprises still are not doing anything about it. Do you know why this is? Like maybe we can point the finger at the enterprises and say, you guys are just a bunch of lazy guys. Why are you not protecting yourselves? You know what's coming. You know, like winter is coming. But at the same time, maybe there's something that we can be doing as the partner of these enterprises. Like let's brainstorm for a couple of minutes. What's wrong? Why are enterprises not investing in cyber when the writing is on the wall?
You know what? Well, you remind me of my times when I was flying like crazy, right? Winter is coming. Actually, fortunately, I don't want to say unfortunately, winter is coming every year, right? Every year for last at least 2000 years. Again, even more years, depends what calendar you use, but let's say more than 2000 years,
Sure.
right? I remember myself stucking many times in New York in airports, and every time, oh, this winter is the craziest one. All airports shut it down. Really? From Winnipeg, we were flying when it was -30, when it's snowing, when it's everything. So in Winnipeg, airports prepared for winter. And in Winnipeg, we know that winter is coming. But in New York, they also know that winter is coming. But every year, the same freaking story.
Yeah.
It's probably my frustration. I just remember how many hours I spent in airports in New York because of this freaking winter, right? Going back to like cybersecurity, big other companies, they don't do whatever. Some of them, like if we will talk about small, medium size companies, many of them, again, they are not matured enough to understand the risk and implications of this cybersecurity threat.
Sure. The small guys.
Yeah. Some enterprises, they understand and they do the best they can. And I need to put the asterisks here on the phrase the best they can, because some of them only do stuff that's required by regulators. And as long as they got compliant, and as long as they got insurance approved, that's it. Nothing get done. In many cases, and again, I don't want to paint everybody in black. It's not true, okay? But in many cases, IT guys that dealing with cyber or cybersecurity guys, I really think that those people need to get special bonuses because they're the last resort. They dealing with the stuff that it's really hard to deal with the budget that they get allocated to cyber. Historically, and I don't see that much has changed. Historically, IT department was getting about 10-20% of the corporate budget allocated to IT. And IT needed to take this budget, purchase licenses, hardware, software, pay salaries, like all that stuff. So cybersecurity team was getting probably 10% of the 10%. It's hard. One of the biggest message that I'm trying to deliver like for years, and I talk about this like really for years with many companies around the globe who said that cybersecurity should be part of the IT department.
Interesting.
Cybersecurity takes care on everything. You want to tell me that your financial department doesn't need cybersecurity? Or this procurement department don't need to go through the social engineering prevention training?
Good point.
Really? Support team that answering the calls of your clients, they need to be trained how they detect the cybersecurity threat. So I was always pitching that cybersecurity budget should come from all departments. Every single department in the enterprise should allocate some portion toward cybersecurity. So it's not about, oh, we're just buying a server, so buying a cloud services and blah, 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 everything around it. It's more about, okay, business is operational. Everybody is working, everything is there. Now, how we protect this business to stay operational? How we protect the brand? It was some statistics that said that business that get compromised, in many cases, it was more than 60% of businesses, if I'm not mistaken, in next year running out of business because they get compromised, they lost a lot of data, they lost reputation, and sometimes data that lost, it's actually the killer for the business.
So you're not talking about from a cash flow perspective.
One not cash flow perspective. I'm talking about, like, in general, businesses just running out of business. One story from the trenches. Construction company, builder, they get hacked, ransom attack, all data get encrypted. Apparently backups didn't work, they lost everything. No data, nothing. So they even didn't know what contracts they signed, on what terms, with who, what the deadlines, nothing. Everything get lost.
Restart.
They literally restarted their business from scratch. And they were operating just based on the paper that was printed. But you can imagine not everything was printed.
No.
What do you think happened with this company? 8 months.
Wow. So you're suggesting a few things here. You're suggesting that budget should come from many different all departments should be essentially putting budget.
All departments should allocate some funds. Yep.
Okay. Do you also think that cybersecurity should be its own department? Do you think it should split away from IT, or do you think it can still live inside the IT department?
I would actually rename it. I would rename it to business intelligence security or something like that. Business security.
And it's its own department?
It can be subdivision of some of IT department or things like that, because again, we're talking about cyber security.
Sure.
But cyber is already outside of just a cyber.
It is security. It's business security now, hey?
It's a business security. It's not just let's protect, let's think about the length of passwords for our systems. I hope one day we'll have no passwords actually at all.
Yeah.
It will come. I know it will come.
Yeah.
Okay. It's not just about this. It's not about, okay, let's encrypt the hard drive.
Yeah.
No, it's much more. How we deal with the social engineering attack. And it's a lot. how we deal with IoT security, how we
Yeah.
deal with the physical penetration to the environment.
Yeah.
How? So it's not like I I see some companies that they're hiring some security guys, some subcontractors or whatever vendor that provides physical security. Unfortunately, up until now, I managed to pass almost all of them and get penetrating physically to the premises of the business.
Mm.
There's many ways to do this, but those guys, they don't think about cyber. They just think about, okay, I need to see your ID when I allowing you to get in or get out.
Right. Right. Yeah.
I've been
They.
in the situations. Oh man, I've been in the situations when, like, I call it monkey work. Actually, in New York, I was coming to the building, and I had a meeting with one of the clients. And almost every building right now in North America, I would say, has a security guard like in the lobby, right? Where we need to sign up, like name, telephone, email, whatever, with whom we are meeting, all that stuff.
Right.
This particular building, they were making a picture. They asked to make a picture, like the security guys asked to make a picture of every single visitor that get registered, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they have disruptive technology, man. They make a picture through the webcam and they print the label that I, as a visitor, need to put here. And whenever I'm in a building, I need to have it visible, where I have my name, company, everything, and my picture. But the fun part, that if it's sunny outside, when they make a picture, when it gets printed, it's just black. It's black. Black out. I probably can't even find the example of this. It's black.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lighting issue.
Lighting issue. Because they're like, it's kind of from the design, physical design perspective, when like I'm standing facing to, like my back is facing to the street, huge window. So when the security guard making a picture, all the lights from the window comes to the camera, blackout, nothing is there,
Yeah.
nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Nobody cares. It meets the policy. It's compliant. The security guard doesn't give a shit.
And I see this constantly, almost everywhere,
Yeah.
like almost everywhere.
Good example. Good example. Let's
And
go ahead.
talking about like the COVID, right?
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I don't see that these kind of things get changed even during the COVID. Yes, well, less visitors. So even if it's less visitors, we would expect like even better work, right? Man, you and I remember when you were in Dubai, we went for a meeting and we were stopped for the by security guy, and they said we are here to meet with your CEO, and they named the CEO, remember? And he let us go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I still have no idea where we were. I was like Alice in Wonderland. That building was crazy. But yeah, you just said something and he let us go, right? People don't want problems, people don't want stress, people don't want to do extra work. But at the end of the day, somebody needs to be responsible for this stuff, these incompetent decisions, these and maybe it ties back to something we've talked about in the past. It really helps to have a really competent board of directors, to have an advisory board that has technology minds on it, that can help guide some of these principles, right? To have the right leaders providing the right input to your company. And it seems like there's a lack of people that know how to talk technology and business on the boards and advisory committees of some of these companies. So maybe that's the next level of maturity, right? You need the right advice.
Probably. And you need to be ready to hear this advice.
Really good point.
You know, like, I'll just, with your permission, we'll step back for a second, right? You just said about stress, right? And nobody wants to be stressed and all that stuff, right? You know, we do a lot of work in the medical sector, and like, we talk to different medical industries, and we talk to doctors. So one of my last conversations with a neurologist showed really interesting and crazy thing. During the COVID, amount of stress and amount of disease that escalated because of stress went to the stupid high levels. I don't remember exact number, but it's unbelievable. Like, people can compare, professionals comparing this only to the like, not so high, but kind of. The next one is the stress after like post-traumatic
Stress disorder.
syndrome,
PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, I think.
PTSD, but not just PTSD after there, like some car incident, military stuff, war. People get stressed like crazy during the wartime.
Right.
We're now fighting with the COVID, invisible enemy. So the stress level is really hitting the roof. And now, when we talk, if we will take a look on that again from the cybersecurity angle, it's a paradise for hackers.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, like, it's tough. It's tough. And yeah, probably, like, as you said, like, mature enough advisory board, and actually advisory board, not just business people, financial people that usually sit on advisory boards. I would say people that coming from really different dimensions, that they bring expertise that sometimes we unable to see the right correlation to it, but it can find the right message, what we need to think of. We don't know what we don't know.
Yeah.
This is the point. And when we talk to people, they sometimes showing us what we don't know.
Yeah. Maybe every advisory board should have a security expert. And I'm not just saying an IT expert. I'm saying a security expert.
You're talking illusions now. Okay. You know why I'm saying you're talking illusions?
Because it will never happen.
Because in many companies, no, I hope it one day will happen. But go and do your homework. Really interesting. I'll challenge you. Okay. And we will talk about this, man. Do the research. Find, let's say, I will simplify your life. Go and search for companies of 5,000 people, up to 5,000 people in one region. You pick up the region. Okay. We do a lot of work in North America. We do a lot of work now in Europe and the Middle East. Pick one. Okay. At least we will use this data afterwards. Data is important, right? And take a look really on one point. Take a look who is in their board and how many boards have CTO or CIO part of the board?
Mm-hmm. I have a hypothesis.
I would say it's probably true. Because in many cases, historically, for many years, boards do not have IT, CTO, CIO, technology people in the board.
Yeah,
Do the research,
I will.
man.
I will.
It will be really interesting to see if things get changed, or
Yeah,
at least we will see some pattern that it's changing.
I agree.
Okay?
I agree.
Please exclude technology companies. Okay,
Makes sense.
like all those crypto blockchain companies, they all have technology experts on the board.
Absolutely. We were talking about how COVID and this 2020 year in review, COVID has created a paradise for hackers. So cybersecurity is a major theme. COVID has also created perhaps good timing and a paradise for DeFi projects and the whole world of blockchain, DeFi, cryptocurrency, digital finances. Um, what's what are you seeing as the big catalyst of the DeFi community? Like DeFi, blockchain is over 10 years old. Now it seems like, I don't know, maybe 1 and 2 projects that we get pitched where people want us involved in are related to decentralized finance. Why the buzz right now? What's the trigger point? Is it real, this buzz, or is it just the feeling of buzz where everybody wants to make money?
So first of all, people always want to make money. Okay, let's start with this. DeFi, it's not something new. Okay, so it was exist. Why it's the big buzz? Why suddenly we see $60,000 for Bitcoin and all the crypto is going up? Okay,
Yeah.
and disclaimer: I am not a financial advisor. Please do not consider this as any financial advice or anything. It's just my thoughts. Okay. Actually, COVID triggered a huge recession.
Mm-hmm.
And the entire world is going through recession right now. We want to admit it or not, but it's reality. And we have really hard times for many companies, many enterprises, not just enterprises, for many people. We know a lot of people that struggle right now.
Yeah.
And what we see governments do, they just go and print money on paper and converting this money just to a piece of paper. So the level of inflation will go to the roof, and people understand it. At least they think like that. So those, let's call it legacy financial systems like banks, people don't like them. They work with banks just because they forced to work with banks. But everybody started to look around for any possible way to get rid of bank. So, like, it's insane that bank transaction takes 3-4 days. I mean, like with the bank investigating the transaction that get lost already for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
We did the wire, and money didn't arrive.
You still
and
haven't.
Bank declares, no.
Oh shit.
So, and on blockchain, it's bam, it's there.
It's fast, lower transaction fees, a bunch of different benefits,
Be
right?
careful with the low transaction fees now.
Okay.
Because on some blockchains, the transaction fees like really went up. But again, still, it makes sense. And DeFi, it's actually really to simplify it for people that not in the domain. I would say it's the new iteration. It's a new era of the banking system.
Hmm.
on a technology. But again, like it takes time. The entrance point for regular people, like normal people that not technically savvy, it's really hard, really tough entry point. So it's not getting the mass adoption as everybody dreams about. So, and again, one of the reasons why it's not getting the mass adoption, because those innovators forced to follow particular policies and rules and be
Hmm.
compliant with something that 10 years old, 20 years old, 30 years old.
Yeah. So you're saying that despite the buzz, despite the scam, despite the lack of certainty and the fluctuation in the coins, you're saying there's tangible value in DeFi out there.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
My personal opinion.
Should every enterprise be studying, researching, experimenting with DeFi? Or who is it most applicable to? If we're talking about enterprise companies, we're talking about companies, hundreds of employees with thousands of employees. Should DeFi somehow be on all of their roadmaps for research and experimentation? Or would you say it's certain types of companies or certain industries that should care more about these technologies and frameworks specifically?
Absolutely not to everybody. No, like we still, when we talk about crypto and DeFi, it's a crypto, okay? It's still, we talk about financial sector. So if
Yep.
you're in manufacturing and building tractors, can you leverage some of the features of DeFi? Of course, yeah, but should you look at it in research? Probably now, I don't know, maybe not. Makes no
Mm-hmm.
sense. And doesn't matter about if I even will say, yeah, it makes sense. It's never going to be the priority for this kind of industry. Banks, yes, they need to research, they need to look at it. And we do have banks that, like, we know that experimenting with this and trying things and even building the incubators inside and really trying to study it, learn it, and based on their study and their research, they planning to build really interesting, build a new policies and new regulation rules based on what they studied.
Well, that
Like
sounds positive.
kudos to those, because they didn't try to take the legacy crop and apply it to the new stuff. Because
Yeah.
garbage in, garbage out.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So if you're a bank or you're a credit union or you're a financial institution of some sorts, DeFi should be somewhere on your radar. You should at least be familiar with it. You should at least research with it. You should seriously consider some kind of experiment, or you're out of the game, right?
You know what? If you don't want to be a codec, if you don't want to be a blockbuster, yeah, you need. It's actually good. I do believe that all the digital currency at some point will be under again banks and government regulations. I do believe it will happen
Mm-hmm.
somehow, directly, indirectly, but it will get to this level, and we will live in a new digital finances. Like it's going to be a new era of digital finances, where we are not going to use credit cards anymore, no checks, no real money, no fiat. This time will come.
Yeah. So
Histor-
giving your non-financial advice, are you buying crypto right now? Are you selling crypto right now? Are you holding crypto right now? What are you doing?
I will use my privilege not to answer this.
All right, brother. All right.